Hi everyone, I'm Ken from Crypto Trading KS. If you're new, welcome, and welcome back to our regular community. Let's run the numbers. Bitcoin currently trading at 32,866, up 1.4%. Ethereum currently trading at 2019, up 5.83%. I'd like to focus on Rule 171, zoom out. This is a really important rule. I've been getting this question increasingly. What are lengthening cycles and what do they really mean? I'll answer that. It's really important to understand. Each cycle occurs from the start of a halving to the end of a halving, to the start of a halving, to the end of a halving. Inside a halving, there are three sub-cycles: a bull market, a bear market, and consolidation. Bull market, bear market, consolidation. In the current cycle, bull market, there will be a bear market and there will be consolidation. What happens here is that lengthening cycles refers to the time from the halving to the peak. There's a shock when the halving occurs that drives price up. That's what the halvings are typically referred to as. Now, the 2012 halving cycle was this particular length here. I call it the blue sun, the blue Bitcoin sun here. If we look into the next cycle, the 2016 halving, and I call that the green Bitcoin sun, you notice 2012, the period from the start of the halving to the peak, when overlaid on the next cycle, came to here. You could say that the blue sun set around that particular date, and that is where everybody expected the 2016 halving cycle to end, at the blue sun. They were wrong. It rallied 43% longer and created the green sun. The green sun is here, this length from the halving to the bull market peak. If we go forward into the current cycle, the 2012 halving, the white sun, the white Bitcoin sun, we can see the 2012 halving cycle here, the blue sun. There was a sell-off there. I said price remembers its history. It's really important. 2016 cycle, that's the previous cycle here. That's the green sun. That's why people they believe that around the 19th of October, this bull market is going to come to an end, which is erroneous thinking, because if we go back to this cycle, it was 43% longer. Why would this cycle be the same as the other one? Let's pretend that this 2020 halving cycle increases 43% up. That would take us to around the 25th of May 2022. That's what lengthening cycles means. So hopefully that helps. Now, what about diminishing returns, increasing returns? What is that? To understand diminishing returns, to understand returns in general, we have to look at relative returns. What does relative return means? If you put your money into the S&P 500 over the past 10 years, you would have gained 232%. Pretty fantastic. If you put it into gold over the past 10 years, you would have got 14%. That's not bad. If you put it into Bitcoin over the past 10 years, you would have got 245,000%. Well, that's pretty decent. Now, we can look into these years and see a lot of volatility here in returns. We can see it across all sectors, all S&P 500, gold, precious metals, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just crypto. What do people do when they have money? They chase the highest return. You could put your money that you have under the mattress in your room and it's not going to grow because it's just static. It's not circulating. This is a really important thing to understand when it comes to increasing returns, decreasing returns. Decreasing just means diminishing. The real question to ask is, why is cryptocurrency, Bitcoin is just a stamp, if you like, for the cryptocurrency industry. Why is cryptocurrency behaving so volatile, with such volatility, but such incredible returns? What's happening there? To answer that question, you need to understand what crypto actually is. It is the next internet of money. So how did the past internet grow? We look at this technological adoption curve, and we look at total global internet users in the white line measured on this white axis across the top, and millions of users to the right. We see that the internet grew and grew and grew and grew and did pretty well, and is still going to penetrate different parts of the globe as we speak. Crypto is growing substantially more. That means it's growing faster than the internet. So what does that mean? This little chart may give you some sort of idea. From 1994, the internet grew from a small number, not that small, 26 million users, to 2018, 4.2 billion users. When we look at something like cryptocurrency, we're seeing a small number of users growing, and we're projecting forward under this basis, but it's growing quickly. And that's what the big fund managers, the Wall Street bankers, all of those people, they know it. And very high net worth individuals, investors, are putting their money in crypto, especially Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has a fixed supply of 21 million. Now, an important understanding is that of what is a network effect. Can you imagine if you owned the first and only telephone, but you had no one to call you? That would suck, wouldn't it? You couldn't call up anyone. But as the number of telephones grew and grew and grew, you create what are called network effects. That's happening inside cryptocurrency right now. Technological adoption is very hard to understand when people think in a straight line. Discontinuous innovation or invention is something so disruptive it upends whatever exists. That is what cryptocurrency does. If we look in here, we have the early market. This is where we are now. So a lot of really, really talented on-chain analysts and very competent people who are innovative, who know the space really, really well. They know it too well. They only think that other innovators can come in. They don't understand necessarily that there are early adopters, there's the early majority, there is the late majority, and the laggards. I ran an internet company in 1993. I was a techno guy. That was around the period of time where people called up through dial-up modems and just chatted through a terminal screen with each other. Now, the internet transformed into something incredible. It literally reflected the physical world into the intangible space. This same thing is happening with cryptocurrency. People who were early in the internet didn't realize just how transformative the internet was. And it's true, I was one of them. I looked at it and I said, I will never miss this thing again. I must admit, I did pretty well from it. But other than that, it was an eye-opening experience to understand just how discontinuous innovation can be. I learned from that. I look at cryptocurrency and I said, this one is a winner. This one is the next internet. If we look right now, the total global crypto market cap is $1.35 trillion. A lot of people say that's the end. It's over. We're into the bear market. No more money can come in. I think those people are missing something really, really fundamental. But as always, we need stats to back us up. So let's look into those numbers. It's easy to think from a retail perspective. Stimulus checks, oh, that's the only way that crypto can grow. Not true. Have a look at the bond market. The bond market in 2020 was nearly $51 trillion. Over time, what's going to happen is crypto will become the denominated value. Instead of being registered in US dollars, it could be registered in Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency. I don't mind what the cryptocurrency is. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin. The best one will emerge. The important thing is we just took 10% of this bond market in 2020. It's much larger now. But if we did, that's $5 trillion. That's already an increase. But let's see how much the crypto market grew in just the past year. Just before we get into that, you might have noticed this is 50,916 billion. That's 50 trillion. In fact, it's $50.916 trillion, just in case you were wondering where I got the trillion from. Okay, let's get into crypto. I really love this analysis from the visual capitalist. All of the world's money and markets in one visualization. Jeff, what a legend. May 27th, 2020. Now, cryptocurrency, look at this. It was so tiny. It was $244 billion. It's amazing. It's amazing how much cryptocurrency grew. It literally grew 5.53 times. Wow. That's not bad. Okay, let's look at the other things. Military spending, budget deficit, coins and banknotes, Fed balance sheet. Wow, this is much larger now. Billionaires, gold, Fortune 500, stock market, money supply. Now, where people don't really understand crypto is that crypto can become the denomination of, for example, global real estate. It could be measured in Ethereum, Bitcoin, ADA, Doge, XRP, whatever it is. Global wealth. There's a lot of money sloshing out there. Just getting 10% of global wealth makes, and this was last year, global wealth has really significantly climbed from this. That's $36 trillion. That's a little bit above the current number that we have. Now, the real issue are derivatives. Derivatives are massive. They are massive. They literally, derivatives at the high estimate level are $1 quadrillion. That's 1,000 trillion dollars. Whoa. Now, what does it mean? The Internet of Money, cryptocurrency, is the next evolution of money. It's like we've literally gone from physical, tangible money to virtual. See, physical, tangible money. There's a lot of money that's really non-physical already. This is really good to point out. The important thing, the crypto market is going to explode. It's not going to have diminishing returns at all. It's just because people say that. I think, I really don't know why they say it. Coming from a business background, looking at innovation for many, many decades, it's really easy for very talented people to misunderstand what they're involved in. I'll just explain that a little bit more. Thomas J. Watson was the chairman and CEO of IBM. He famously quoted that he believed there could only be a global market of 5 computers. He invented them. Wow. Let's just search for that quote. I think there is a world market for maybe 5 computers. Wow. Look at that. The person that invented, well, pretty much marketed the computer, he saw only a market for 5. He didn't understand the discontinuous application of computing to the world. That doesn't mean he was silly. He was an incredibly astute person, very clever. However, what happens? Discontinuous innovation just pulls the rug on so many people. Many younger viewers may not be aware of IBM or Thomas Watson. That was at the dawn of the computing era. Here you have a graph just only up to 2007 where 800 million personal computers were in the market. It's a lot more now, but it's important to understand even geniuses sitting at the top of companies sometimes miss the whole point of the technology. Xerox PARC was famous in giving away the mouse to Steve Jobs. This is a reflective thing throughout all technological advancements. In our community, we always differentiate between a retail and institutional mindset. There is a lot of money yet to come across into crypto. I hopefully have shown you that. Crypto can increase by incredible orders of magnitude above its current $1.35 trillion market cap. Hopefully I've given you a little bit of background information that can prove that. Let's get into Rule 174, T cubed, trend, timing, and trigger. To do the true trend, we look at the KS process, which is a very structured way of looking at the markets and understanding where crypto is heading. Every single day we seek to invalidate the forward progression of Bitcoin. That is really what this process is about. We try to say, let's assume all the analysis is wrong, and we try to detect the variation. That is why we look at the trend every single day. The first thing to do is to understand where economic systems are in terms of early, mid-stage, and late-stage expansion. The critical thing here is across the world, most economies are just in early stage recovery. What does that mean? It means that there is still a requirement for employment growth. It means that stimulus is still on the table. When stimulus comes off, it will be because the economy's expanding on its own by itself, and it won't need it. Let's have a look at the US Bureau of Labor Statistics for the unemployment rate. We can see the unemployment rate has gone up a little bit in June of this year. It was 5.8%, now it's 5.9%. That's shown in this graph. The US economy is expecting employment growth quite major in non-farm, total private, service producing, and it's expecting leisure and hospitality over the next 12 months to pick up. This is how we keep an eye on the pulse of the market, understanding how various components are shifting around. This is also from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. Let's have a look at the unemployment rate across the economy. We can see the unemployment rate spiked after the pandemic and has been coming down. Let's have a look at the inflation rate. This is the 10-year inflation rate in blue. You might notice the price of Bitcoin in gold behind it. We're in Q2 earnings season now. Refinitiv has estimated that earnings will increase across the board by 65.8% on quarter. The Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell in his presentation said that they will not be tapering, that inflation is expected over the coming months, and there's a long way to go to fix unemployment. The Senate Democrats have also proposed $3.5 trillion in spending to be resolved and debated soon. Overall, we expect inflation to keep on increasing. Let's quickly look at the 5-year inflation rate. We can see it going up. You can see a correlation here between inflation and Bitcoin too. Let's have a look at the 5-year inflation forward expectation rate. You can see a correlation, not as strong, but certainly there. Let's check out the major indices. The Nasdaq 100 holding support, really above that support. I am expecting, of course we don't know if this will happen, but we always know the price is always moving in a wave. It's going up and down and up. It has to come down or else it gets really unhealthy. If things don't come down quickly, you get this rapid ramp up and a cut down back to support. We don't quite really want that. We've seen the Bank of America, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, PNC and BlackRock all beating expectations on earnings. I think this will relax investors and the big institutions, and they will say more stimulus is on the way. Let's just take book profits in, come back to this support, and then rally again. That is my gut feeling. You notice that Bitcoin has been diverging away from the stock market. I believe there will be sales here. It will go into Bitcoin and start to ramp it up. That's my own personal feeling on this divergence. So the question is, why are we checking the stock market, and why the US market? Why not some other market? It's really helpful to understand that as of January 21, 55.9% of the stock market value globally was in the US. Japan, China, the UK followed up. But the important thing is that when the US market sneezes, the rest of the world catches cold. So we have to pay a great deal of attention, no matter what country we're in, to understand what's going on. If there is a problem in the US market, it will reflect across all stock markets globally. That's really important. So this is exactly why I look into the major indices, I look into the FANG stocks, gold, silver, precious metals, everything, to give us an idea of warning signs. Let's have a look at the S&P 500. We can see the S&P 500 holding support. Fine, looks very healthy. Let's have a look at the Russell 2000. We see a bit of weakness here, but that's not really a cause for concern. There was so much run-up here that these run-ups require digestion. That's all I see happening here. Let's have a look at the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones is holding that support. How about we get into some other major stocks such as Netflix, Amazon, Apple? We can see Netflix has broken across that resistance, come up, retested it, and resumed off. That's very healthy. It's also maintaining support quite well. Quite a bit of fresh air here too. Amazon had a really big breakout. It pierced that resistance very well, and it's just consolidating around there at the present time. Let's have a look at Apple. Apple crossed the resistance, came back, retested, and resumed off, taking out that previous high there. Very impressive. Looking at Google, we see that upward support line and now a different support. A lot of fresh air here. I think these particular stocks are due for a wave back. Now, that may not be what you want to hear, but I think it's really important to understand the cyclical nature and the booking of profits. That always periodically happens. Price is always moving in a wave up and then down, up and then down. We shouldn't be concerned about the downs because they actually strengthen the overall uptrend. Let's have a look at Facebook. We can see very strong support here. The major stocks are taking off. Let's have a look at Microsoft. Again, strong uptrend, strong support, lots of fresh air, very powerful. And we always know price is moving in a wave. It's always going up, then down, up, then down, up, then, of course, down at some stage. Let's get into the analysis of Bitcoin holdings and Bitcoin related stocks, ETFs, countries, public, private companies. The total Bitcoin holdings at the current time, 1,460,162 Bitcoins. We've got in ETFs about 819,000, in countries holding about 260,000, public companies holding about 214,000, and private companies holding around 158,000 Bitcoin. I just try to put these in so that we can track what's happening if those numbers are going up or down and the impact on Bitcoin's price. Bitcoin is currently trading at $32,814. Let's have a look at the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. We see this resistance here. GBTC is just close to passing across that resistance. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust has 654,600 Bitcoin in it. You can see how closely the price action of GBTC and Bitcoin are correlated. Just a fun fact, Bulgaria has 213,519 Bitcoin and Ukraine has 46,351 Bitcoin. Pretty cool, huh? Let's have a look at MicroStrategy. We can see MicroStrategy passed above this resistance, came back, turned it into support, has been having a little bit of weakness here. I see that nothing more than consolidation. MicroStrategy has 105,085 Bitcoin. If you find that you have better data tracking these things, I would love to hear from you. Everything I do is to just warn the community and keep an eye on potential black swans. That means it's really, really important to have the good data. I do my best, but it's always possible I'm missing things, just the nature of life. If you want to reach out and let me know anything, I would love to hear from you. You can contact me anytime on Twitter by direct message. Just to help you out, this is my profile on Twitter. It's at StandfieldKen, STANDFILD Ken. You can reach out to me anytime. I'm really happy to talk to the community and provide whatever support I can. If you'd like to join the Crypto Trading KS group, it's a public group. I'd love to have you across and you can chat there if that's easier. That was just started a couple of days ago. Let's have a look at Galaxy Digital Holdings. Galaxy Digital crossed that resistance, is consolidating around this particular range. It's pretty much like what Bitcoin is doing right now. Galaxy Digital has 16,400 Bitcoin. Let's have a look at Tesla. Tesla holds 42,902 Bitcoin. It's overcome this resistance, tested it, and it's still gaining strength, but the overall market is doing quite well. Let's have a look at CoinShares, physical Bitcoin. It holds 48,466 Bitcoin. You can see just how well it tracks Bitcoin's price, except for this little guy. That's not the best. These kind of instruments can be very good to buy spikes down. This is a really interesting thing to trade from a trader's perspective. Let's have a look at Voyager Digital. Voyager holds 12,260 Bitcoin. There's a bit of weakness here, absolutely. We can see that resistance was overcome. It came down that support line. It's trying to consolidate. Had a bit of a failure here, but there's a lot of support back here. I wouldn't be too fussed about this personally. And that's because we know where Bitcoin is going. If we don't know where Bitcoin is going, that's pretty different. Let's have a look at the Purpose Bitcoin ETF. You can see it's really tracking Bitcoin's price well. You see this divergence here? That's really quite interesting. That's showing strength, accumulation occurring. Purpose Bitcoin ETF has 22,411 Bitcoin. Let's have a look at Square Inc. Square holds 8,027 Bitcoin. It's got a good level of support here. It's broken that resistance, turned it to support. Got a good solid uptrend. Marathon Digital, broken the resistance on an uptrend. Bit of weakness around here, but there was a whole lot of FUD going on. With the stimulus on the table, with the inflation data, with our understanding of the market, I believe this will repair itself quite quickly. Coinbase Global, same weakness. This is why we look at so many different stocks, because we want to understand how the entire sector is going. Coinbase Global has 4,482 Bitcoin. I've been in the markets for more than 20 years, and it's really interesting to observe certain patterns. I put an observe this label because it's fascinating. I can see deflection occurring here. I think this one will move very quickly and potentially give us insight into the market. So that's why I put observe this, just in case you're wondering. Bitcoin Group has 3,947 Bitcoin. We see it's just above that resistance line turned to support right now. Let's have a look at QBTC. QBTC, I haven't managed to get the stats on this as yet, but just been a little busy, but I will definitely get to it. QBTC is just literally trading under that resistance. Let's have a look at ARK. I would like to do a call out to two bumblebees, and especially a few people that message me directly. If you message me directly, I actually withhold your name until you say it's okay. But this Two Bumblebees has been a community member for quite a long time. They actually sent me this website saying that ARK doesn't hold, they hold Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, about $230 million worth of it, and Square by default holds Bitcoin, Tesla by default holds Bitcoin, Coinbase Global by default holds Bitcoin. It's a really interesting thing. I didn't have time to research ARK to the degree I wanted, and I always appreciate everybody reaching out. Thank you. If you've got anything else that you would like me to cover off, I'm always happy to do that. Anything I can do to help. So if we look into ARK Innovation ETF, now that we've got that deeper understanding, you can see this support line. It's closed below support, but all technical analysis is a guide, not a law. It's all impacted by what markets do. I can see that this should repair very quickly. Silvergate, Capital Corporation, over that resistance, come back, showing weakness at the support. Hive Blockchain, same. You can see how many of these have the same basic fingerprint. Riot with 2,243 Bitcoin. This is really helpful for you to know. If you know how things are moving, you can actually get in front of things. So Bitfarms, under this particular support at the present time. Whatever the situation is, it is. Argo Blockchain, weakening on this support, coming up back to this support to the left there. Let's have a look at gold. Okay, this gives you a bit of an understanding about what gold is doing. Gold had fairly substantial resistance. It was hovering around that resistance line and getting rejected. It's managed to get over it. It'll, in all likelihood, come back, retest, and resume. Fairly positive, and it has another level of resistance up here. Let's have a look at silver. Silver is still maintaining its support, got some fresh air under here which shows strength, and you can see the Bitcoin price superimposed in the background. Let's have a look at the VIX. The VIX decreased in volatility, and we can see the price of Bitcoin here. I don't hold too much sway between the VIX and the price of Bitcoin. I don't think it's significant. I'd just like to discuss the dollar a little bit. You can see the price of Bitcoin here in the gold, coming up when the dollar came up, coming down when the dollar came down, and look at this, the dollar is coming up. Bitcoin is flattening, finding a bottom right now. There's a particular level of resistance above the dollar's current price right now. Very interesting. I've seen so many people say there's an inverse correlation between the dollar and Bitcoin. As a stats lecturer for many years, I take what people say with a grain of salt. I don't care what people say. I care what the data tells me. I can see the price, the DXY coming up and Bitcoin coming up. I see the DXY going down and Bitcoin going down. That's a direct association, not an inverse one. It's really important to test what people say. Let's have a look at the 10-year Treasury note yield. We see it's come back to that resistance line that used to be support. It dropped through there, came back, and it's testing that, and it's fallen down. Pretty much normal price behavior for what things do. 30-year Treasury bond yield, we see it fell through that support level, came back, and retested and resumed up. Let's have a look at what the TLT is doing, the 20-year Treasury bond. It came up, down, it's moving in a wave. Always think price always moves in a wave, because it does. That's an absolute fact of everything. Looking at transportation, we're across this line on strong support here. This is good. We want the transportation sector to improve. It's a sign of economic recovery. Utilities, still at that support, pretty much unchanged. Utilities don't do much in the main. Having a look at the airline index, this is consolidating here. This is showing a bit of strength. That's good. Let's have a look at oil. I mentioned in the last episode that Saudi Arabia and the UAE were having a bit of a tiff. They've actually come to a compromise on the oil deal, and they've will be extending that deal until the end of 2022. They're going to have higher oil production at 3.65 million barrels per day. The EIA weekly report showed a significant decline in gasoline and diesel demand from last week, and it showed also the crude inventories dropped for the 8th consecutive period. The International Energy Agency expects strong medium to long-term demand in oil. We can see that here by the support, some weakening around here, but everything is on track. Let's have a look at light crude. Again, bit of weakness here. With these kind of trend lines, just from a technical aspect, you can just clone that particular line and just bring it down to around, depending where you draw it, I think that would be fine, to show that channel of support. Now, what does it all mean for Bitcoin? Inflation, good. Dollar is good. Oil, the market indices, we know where we are in the current cycle. We know the properties of Bitcoin. It's all looking fairly good, but we need to check the on-chain metrics. Let's have a look. Turning to the Bitcoin realized cap hodl waves, we have one spike here. We get 3 per cycle. We're only at the first one. We've got a long way to go. Looking at that Bitcoin hash ribbon, we see hashes before market price takes off and at capitulation, before market takes off and then at capitulation. We've seen a recent one here, which is really all about the miners shutting down, but from China and relocating to other parts in the world. We expect a lot of white space up to the next peak in this cycle. Bitcoin is built on euphoria, positive and negative. Negative euphoria is called capitulation. We're always looking for the blow off top and the blow off bottom. It is a characteristic of Bitcoin and discontinuous innovation until it matures. Bitcoin has a long way to go until it matures. We can see no blow off top here, no euphoria and no red, no capitulation. We've got a long way to go. Having a look at reserve risk, we're a long way away from that red line as we've seen in previous peaks. Having a look at the Puel multiple, again, we're a long way away from the red as seen in previous peaks. Having a look at the number of transfers to exchanges across all exchanges of Bitcoin, we see when we reach the peak, we get these incredible volume transfers into exchanges. We're not seeing that. We've got a long way to go. The summarization of this, everything is looking on track. It's important to know each piece of the puzzle because you will get so many news headlines that will lead you astray. Please bear in mind Rule 138. All investors become traders whenever they buy or sell. You always want to make sure that you're not buying at the top and selling at the bottom. This is an exponential market with blow-off tops and blow-off bottoms. If you trade ineffectively, if you buy the top and sell the bottom, even if you could do well, you might lose the gains. It's really important to be able to trade, and that's what we look at in the next segment. Next episode is devoted to that. I really suggest you have a look at it. It will help you tremendously. I hope you found the content useful, Everything I do for you is free. Please be aware of scammers. You can reach out to me anytime on Facebook or Twitter, and especially in the comments. I love to hear from you. I do these videos to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. If you would like twice daily updates 7 days a week on price movements in the crypto market, please subscribe to YouTube and follow me on Twitter, as well as becoming a member of the Facebook group. That would be awesome. Please remember, crypto is volatile. Always prepare yourself for the best and the worst case scenario. Reality will often be between it. Stay safe out there. Take care and see you next time. Bye for now.